Be honest with yourself for a moment. How many times have you pictured a better version of you? The one who wakes up early, calm, clear, grounded. The one who knows who he is and moves with quiet certainty. But every time you get close, something stands between you and him. Fear, comfort, or maybe just the familiarity of pain. Now imagine this. One morning you wake up and realize that the person you've been chasing all along was never waiting somewhere in the future. He's been here the whole time, buried beneath your habits, your doubts, your noise. Waiting for a moment of silence, a moment of honesty, a moment when you finally turn back toward yourself. And maybe this video is that moment. Because we're going to find out how to meet your future self. Not someday, not when life gets easier, but right now. Chapter 1. The distance between who you are and who you could be. Most people live two lives, the life they have right now and the better life they're capable of. The space between them, that's where all the pain hides. You can feel that distance, can't you? It's that quiet heaviness that shows up when the room goes silent, when you stare at the ceiling at 2 a.m. and that sleepy voice inside says, "This isn't who I'm supposed to be." You silence it with work, with scrolling, with noise, because hearing it hurts, but ignoring it hurts even more. That tension between who you are and who you could become isn't punishment. It's a compass. It's the proof that somewhere inside you, something still remembers. We live suspended between being and becoming. The philosophers knew this long before psychology gave it a name. Plato said, "What you desire to be is already within you. You only need to remember." But in the modern world, we remember everything except ourselves. We become engineers of distraction, efficient, busy, exhausted, yet somehow strangers to our own depth. Our minds know there's more, but our systems are addicted to the familiar. So we keep building lives that look full and feel empty. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's what happens in the distance. It isn't fate keeping you stuck. It's the unseen parts of you replaying the same old code. You think you're choosing, but you're looping, reacting, defending, surviving. Freedom begins the moment you realize that you are not your automatic self. We spend years chasing external progress, money, titles, validation, but the real evolution is inward. Because no matter what changes outside, the same unhealed patterns rebuild themselves on the inside. The only way forward is back. Back into the silence you've avoided. Back into the truth that still waits in the dark. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "Become who you are." He didn't mean add more goals. He meant strip away everything that isn't you. Because every time you try to become someone for the world, you drift further from the person you were born to be. The tragedy is not failing to reach the top. It's climbing a ladder that was leaning on the wrong wall. If you look at it like an engineer would, your present self is a beta version, coded by your experiences, fears, and expectations. Your future self is the same program, but updated, cleaner, freer, integrated. The source code hasn't changed. You just haven't run the update yet. Every conscious choice you make is a line of new code written in your favor. And the good news? Nothing inside you is missing. Every piece of the person you want to become is already installed, just waiting for you to stop debugging the past and start executing the truth. So where do you begin? By seeing the distance, not as failure, but as invitation. That ache you feel is not emptiness, it's potential. The same energy that hurts you can heal you when you stop resisting it. Ask yourself quietly, what would the future me do right now? That single question is a doorway. Because every small, honest choice shortens the distance between who you are and who you were always meant to be. The man you are meant to become is not ahead of you. He's within you, behind every fear you refuse to face. Chapter 2. Why you betray your future self. You never meant to destroy yourself. You only wanted to feel a little less pain. But that's how every betrayal begins. Quietly, almost kindly. We think betrayal is something we do to others. But the deepest betrayal is the one we commit against ourselves. Against the person we once promised to be with. The one we saw in our dreams and then abandoned every time life felt heavy. You didn't plan to betray your future self. You just kept choosing what felt safe. And safety has a way of killing potential slowly. From a psychological view, your mind wasn't designed for growth. It was designed for survival. Every new behavior feels dangerous to the nervous system. So each time you reach for change, the mind whispers, stay where it's safe. It builds excuses that sound logical, but are really armor. And in that armor, you hide from transformation. This is how people get trapped, not because they're weak, but because their biology mistakes growth for danger. Jung said, the shadow is everything you refuse to be. The shadow is lazy, jealous, afraid, controlling, and it's still you. Every time you deny it, it gains more power. Every time you say, that's not me, it smiles and waits in the dark. When you procrastinate, when you lie to yourself, when you trade long-term peace for short-term comfort, that's your shadow calling the shots. You betray your future self because you're loyal to your pain. Pain feels familiar, and what's familiar feels safe. But the betrayal isn't only mental. It's emotional. Think about how many times you've silenced your own truth. When you were angry but smiled. When you were breaking inside but said, I'm fine. When you felt lost but acted confident. Every time you buried a real emotion, you buried a piece of your future self with it. Because growth requires honesty, and honesty is the one thing the false self can't survive. Viktor Frankl once said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose. Most people never see that space. Something happens. They react. No pause, no awareness. And that's why they live the same day, over and over again, and call it a life. Living unconsciously is the slowest form of self-betrayal. You're not being punished. You're just on autopilot. And autopilot always flies in circles. We trade growth for comfort all the time. We say yes when we mean no. We scroll when we should reflect. We numb what we should feel. And we tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is the softest lie ever spoken. Every easy choice is a vote against your future self. Every difficult choice is a vote in his favor. And every time you pick the easy road, you move further from the person you promised to betray. Let's be honest. You've betrayed yourself many times. You've delayed dreams. You've lowered standards. You've silenced intuition just to fit in. But you're still here. And as long as you're here, redemption is possible. Because the moment you see the pattern, you've already begun to break it. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. To examine means to look, Not to blame, not to fix, just to see why. Ask yourself, why do I keep repeating what hurts me? Why do I keep betraying what I know is true? And when the answer appears, don't turn away. That discomfort is the doorway. You betray your future self because you fear the unknown. But here's the paradox. The unknown is the only place you can become someone new. The fear you run from is the exact threshold you have to cross. Rumi wrote, "Between what you love and what you fear lies your path." So maybe it's time to stop running from the fear. Maybe it's time to walk straight into it, because everything you want lives on the other side. You've betrayed your future self enough. It's time to rebuild that trust, not with promise, but with presence, not with motivation, but with action. One honest step, one quiet decision, is all it takes to start coming home to yourself again. And in that homecoming, the past forgives you, and the future finally meets your eyes. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Becoming. You're not meant to become someone else. You're meant to remember who you've always been. The part of you that survived everything and never stopped reaching for the light. Inside every human being, there is a hidden design, a blueprint of who you truly are, buried under years of conditioning, roles you played, rules you followed, and the noise of becoming what others expected. The journey of transformation isn't about adding more. It's about peeling away the layers until what's left is real. In Jungian psychology, this process is called individuation, the integration of the conscious and the unconscious, the reunion of light and shadow. Carl Jung wrote, "What you are to be, you already are, only unconscious." That means the person you're trying to become isn't somewhere out there in the future. He already exists, waiting inside the parts of you you refuse to see. The anger, the jealousy, the need to control, the fear of not being enough. These are not enemies. They are pieces of the whole. And until you turn toward them, you'll keep fighting ghosts instead of meeting yourself. Most people misunderstand growth. They think it's about improvement, getting stronger, richer, smarter. But real growth is about integration. It's not a climb. It's a rise. Every time you face something within you that you once avoided, you reclaim a piece of power that was trapped in the dark. And with each reclaimed piece, your future self stops being a dream and starts becoming a presence. There are two voices inside you, the ego and the self. The ego says, "I must become better, faster, more impressive." The self whispers, "I am already whole. I just need to remember." And this is the paradox of becoming. The moment you stop trying to become something else, you start being yourself. Nietzsche called it amor fati, the love of one's fate. He believed transformation happens when we stop resisting life and start embracing it entirely, even the pain, even the mistakes. What does not kill me makes me stronger, but not stronger in the way the world means, stronger in soul, strong enough to live without pretending. Science agrees. The human brain is constantly rewiring itself, building new neural pathways every time you act consciously. It's called neuroplasticity. Every small, intentional act is proof that change is possible. You are literally sculpting your future self with your thoughts, your choices, your awareness. Each decision aligned with truth is a new circuit written into your mind, a piece of tomorrow taking shape today. But here's the part most people miss. Transformation will hurt. because every birth comes with pain. Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." That pain you feel when you outgrow a version of yourself. That's not a sign of failure. It's the sound of rebirth. Every ending is just an outdated identity dissolving. You'll know you're transforming when your old desires stop fitting, when peace feels more attractive than excitement, when you crave silence more than attention. That's not losing yourself. That's finding yourself beneath the noise. Eventually, you'll look back at your past and realize that you no longer recognize the person you were. You'll smile, not out of pride, but out of understanding, because you'll see that every mistake, every heartbreak, was not punishment. It was material, raw matter for the masterpiece of your becoming. The principle is simple. Anything you bring awareness to, changes. Anything you accept fully, transforms. When you finally stop running and sit down in the middle of your chaos, something remarkable happens. The chaos turns into clarity. Because presence is alchemy. It turns pain into wisdom, darkness into strength, fear into depth. Becoming isn't about adding light. It's about making the darkness conscious. Carl Jung. And when you do, you realize the darkness was never your enemy. It was your invitation, your teacher, your path home. So stop searching for your better self. You don't need to become more. You need to become real. And when you do, you'll notice something magical. The future you've been chasing is already walking beside you, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to notice. Chapter 4. Time isn't what you think. You believe the future is something that will happen to you. But what if the future is something that's happening through you right now? We were all taught that time moves in one direction. Past behind us, present beneath us, future waiting somewhere ahead. But the human mind doesn't experience time as a straight line. It experiences it as a circle, an ocean of moments, all coexisting, all whispering through you at each once. The past isn't gone. It's imprinted in your muscles, in your voice, in the way you hesitate before love. And the future? It's not a destination. It's a vibration you can already feel when you go quiet enough. Neuroscience has found that when you imagine the future, your brain lights up the exact same regions as when you recall a memory. To your mind, tomorrow is as real as yesterday. So every time you picture yourself growing, you are literally rehearsing your becoming. Every time you choose awareness, you alter the architecture of what's coming. The future isn't waiting, it's responding. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Time is a circle." He meant that every moment holds every other moment within it. Every choice sends echoes backward and forward, rewriting the past, reshaping the future. Nothing you do disappears. It ripples through the field of what you are becoming. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. Most people are prisoners of time, haunted by their past, terrified of their future, and absent from the only place either can be transformed, the present. They live caught between memory and anticipation, between guilt and anxiety, between what was and what might be, never realizing that both are illusions born in the same mind. The only real moment is now, and yet, most of us rarely inhabit it. When you become truly present, time bends. The seconds stretch, the noise fades, and what's left is a kind of still eternity, a feeling that you've been here before, and that somehow This moment contains everything. This is what the mystics called the eternal now. Not a mystical idea, but a lived experience. The place where your past is forgiven and your future is formed in the same breath. Carl Jung once said in a letter, "The future does not come from somewhere ahead. It grows out of us like a seed from the soil, and that changes everything. Because it means your future isn't arriving from outside. It's emerging from within. It's born out of the quality of your awareness today. If you are angry, fearful, distracted, you plant seeds of confusion. If you are clear, grateful, and awake, you plant seeds of peace. Tomorrow isn't promised. It's programmed by the consciousness that you bring to this moment. When you look at it this way, time is not your enemy. It's your mirror. It reflects your inner state back to you through events, through relationships, through the subtle choreography of your days. And that's why rushing doesn't work. You can't outrun a mirror. You can only change what it reflects. Anxiety about the future is often just unfinished grief from the past. What you haven't healed will return, not as punishment, but as repetition. Life keeps presenting the same lesson until you meet it with presence. That's what divine timing really means, not some cosmic clock, but the exact moment you're finally ready to see. Real time is not measured by clocks. It's measured by consciousness. There are people who live 50 years asleep and others who live 5 minutes awake. And those 5 minutes are eternity. So if you want to touch your future, don't look forward. Look inward. The stillness you create inside yourself becomes the world you walk into. Because time isn't what you think. It's not passing you by. It's flowing from you, shaping itself around the level of your awareness. Chapter 5. Living as your future self. Now, your future self isn't waiting somewhere ahead of you. He's right here, in every small decision you make, in every honest breath, in every moment you choose awareness over habit. We all think becoming that better version of ourselves requires years of discipline and perfect circumstances. But transformation doesn't begin in the future. It begins in the next choice. It begins now. Every thought, every action, every reach-you action is a brushstroke painting the person you're becoming. You're not waiting for change. You're creating it right here, moment by moment. Most of us spend our lives choosing between two forces, fear and awareness. Fear says, stay where it's safe. Awareness says, grow anyway. And every time you choose awareness, you step closer to the person your soul already knows you can be. Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." And that's where living as your future self truly starts. Not with self-improvement, but with self-acceptance. You don't have to reject who you are to evolve. You have to love yourself enough to grow. Because change born out of shame creates resistance, but change born out of love creates freedom. Forgive the person you've been. Forgive the choices you made when you didn't know better. That forgiveness is not weakness, it's release. You can't build a future while holding your past hostage. The self you dream of becoming isn't asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be present. So ask yourself quietly, if my future self were standing beside me right now, what would he tell me to do? Would he tell you to delay again, to keep pretending? Or would he smile and say, start now, even if you're afraid? That voice, that gentle intuition, is your future self, speaking from within. He's not in the distance. He's behind your ribs, in the pulse that speeds up when you're about to choose what's right. Don't wait for motivation. Action is what creates it. Every honest step, no matter how small, rewires your identity toward the person you are becoming. You don't need to force massive change. You just need to keep walking in truth, one step at a time. The path will meet you halfway. Living as your future self doesn't mean perfection. It means alignment. It means choosing integrity when no one's watching. It means staying calm when your old patterns want you to react. It means knowing who you are and letting that knowing guide what you do. Because every time you act with awareness, the distance between who you are and who you could be disappears a little more, until one day you wake up and realize there's no distance left. Becoming your future self isn't about becoming more. It's about becoming real. So live as if you already are that person. Think like them. Speak like them. Decide like them. Because you can't wait your way into transformation. You can only live your way into it. And the moment you do, the future stops being something you chase and becomes something that rises from within you. The future isn't waiting for you. It's already breathing within you. If you're still here, something in you is already shifting. Don't rush away from it. Sit with it. Let the silence work through you. If this message spoke to you, like and share it with someone who needs. The next video goes deeper. See you there.